All systems go. Clear for liftoff.
Hello and welcome to this week's NASCAR Quick Hit here at SHIPIT Nation. I am Eric, also known as TheGame on Discord, and today we are going to be discussing the Coke Zero Sugar 400 taking place at the Daytona International Speedway. As always, please go ahead and hit that like button, and please go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't already. It really does go an incredibly long way in helping us with the YouTube algorithm. Of course, before we break down the Coke Zero 400 taking place at the Daytona International Speedway, let me remind you that this weekend we are racing on Saturday night. That's right. This is a Saturday night race, and the race in America is on the NBC series of networks, main NBC, and then in Canada it is on trusty old TSN5. TV coverage starts, I believe, at 7 o'clock on the dot on Saturday evening Eastern time, and then green flag is right around 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. There are 112 total Dominator points up for grabs this week, and unlike most weeks, we are not going to worry about targeting those Dominator points. Why, you may ask? Well, we are super speedway racing this week, and when we are racing on a super speedway, those fast lap points and those laps led points really get spread throughout the entire field, and it's kind of silly trying to target those and target to see who's going to lead those. So this week we are not going to be worrying about Dominators. Instead, we are only going to be focusing on place differential points and finishing position points. Earlier this week, Phil from Race Sheets tweeted out that if you took a look at the last 4 optimal Daytona lineups for DraftKings, that 20 out of the 24 drivers in those optimal lineups started from 20th on back. Let me repeat that sentence. Out of the last 4 Daytona optimal DraftKings lineups, the 24 optimal drivers started from 20th on back. And on FanDuel, they started from 17th on back. So, folks, much like I do for every super speedway race, I will be greatly consolidating my player pool to those this week who are starting in the top 18. Yes, I know I just said top 20, but there's 2 drivers starting in 18th and 19th who I think are pretty good plays this week who I don't want to ignore. But mostly, I will be focusing all of my lineups on those drivers starting from 20th on back. Practice this week, there was none. No practice. The teams unloaded the cars from the hauler, went through tech inspection, and then went right to qualifying. So absolutely no practice this week. And like most super speedway races, I do anticipate a decent amount of carnage in this race. And truthfully, I feel like we've seen a decent amount of carnage in most of the races that we've seen so far this season. And I really don't expect this Daytona race to be any different. You get the added push as well of this race being so close to the playoff cutoff, right? So you add the normal craziness that is a super speedway, tack on the craziness that is the last race or two for mid to lower tier drivers to lock themselves into the playoffs. Don't be surprised if this turns out to be a shit show. And because of the high shit show possibilities, I play fast and loose with the optimizer or shiptimizer settings. I highly recommend using very high randomization or variance, depending on what your optimizer calls it, as well as do not be afraid to leave money on the table. And I mean, don't be afraid to leave 5,000 on the table, 4,000 on the table, 3,500, etc. It is really a week to get funky with your triptomizers, your optimizers, etc. Right? 3 uniques per lineup, super randomization, crazy big salaries, 20th on back. Hammer at it. All right. Okay, let's see here. Hey, let's finally go ahead and move on to some drivers. And since this is dang it, I thought I had this all set up pretty earlier. Oh, it's because I have the wrong overlay on. Ha ha. Where's my mouse? I lost my mouse. My mouse is on the wrong screen. Oh my goodness gracious. What's going on here? Sorry guys, this is live after midnight streaming. And I can't figure out why my mouse won't get to where I need it to be. 1 second. There we go. Hey, I fixed it. Perfect. All right. Now let me get my notes back up here. It almost is like I know what I'm doing. All right. First up, for drivers, I prefer on this slate. And I'm going to start with those drivers who are starting in 18th and 19th position, and that would be Bubba Wallace and his team owner, Denny Hamlin. Both of these drivers have proven themselves to be excellent super speedway racers. Bubba is currently on the playoff bubble and is still chasing his first victory of the season, and that victory would lock him into the playoffs. I really do anticipate Bubba being very aggressive during this race. I anticipate him trying to lead laps, lead stages, and most importantly, win the race. And the same goes for Denny. Denny was hit by another massive penalty by NASCAR. NASCAR docked Denny 75 driver's points and 10 playoff points due to Toyota TRD breaking down his March Bristol race winning engine before NASCAR could. How that happens, I don't know, but it is a massive penalty for NASCAR to impose on Denny. In fact, Denny would be out of the playoffs if he would not have already won a couple other races this season, right? So this is a huge, huge penalty for Denny. And I think because of that, he is really going to be coming out guns a-blazing this weekend. He is an excellent super speedway racer. Excellent. He's in a super fast car, and he starts 19th. Okay, so Bubba starts 18th, who needs a win. Denny starts 19th, has a chip on his shoulder, and there's only, for Denny, only 2 regular season races left for him to make up the points he just lost. So I expect both Denny and Bubba to be aggressive and up towards the front for the majority of the race on Saturday night. Next up, Eric Jones. That Jones boy. Let me scroll down here. You don't want to have to scroll down the list. It's not good. That Jones boy, Eric Jones, had quite the bouncy qualifying run. Quite literally, his car was like bouncing, and it was not a good handling car during his qualifying run. And because of that, he qualified 40th. What's 40th? Dead last. That's right. Eric Jones, dead last in a Legacy Motor Club Toyota at $7K. I love it. I am all over it. I think other people will be all over it too. But this is one of these plays that, look, we're chasing place differential. He can't lose us any. All he can go is up. If he can dodge a few wrecks, he can gain 20, 25 positions. Eric Jones, he's a good race car driver. Hasn't had the best season, but is in a smash spot for us fantasy players on Saturday evening. And last but most certainly not least for me this week is my final driver who I would like to highlight. And I can't believe I am going to highlight this driver, but he's a good play. He's a decent super speedway racer. And if he's going to win at all this season and or in his career, it will be at a super speedway. And that is one Corey LaJoie. Spire Motorsports, 6,300 on DraftKings, starts 34th on Saturday night. Daytona is Corey LaJoie's best track besides, wait, let me start that sentence. Let me read my script instead of looking, just trying to pull this off my head. Daytona is Corey's best track that he has more than one start at. Currently, I think Indianapolis is his best track, but he literally only has one start there, right? So Daytona is Corey's best track that he has more than one start at. He finished 4th earlier this year in the 500 and 10th last summer in the 400. Corey and Spire Motorsports are parting ways at the end of the season, and I kind of think Corey would love to close this chapter of his, his Spire Motorsports chapter with a win. And if he's going to do it, it's going to be at Daytona, Talladega, or Atlanta. And I'm fairly positive we've already raced both Atlantas, and we're at Daytona too, and we have Talladega in the fall. He doesn't have many more races left, in my opinion, to win. So Corey LaJoie is my final driver I would like to highlight this week. And I think that's all I have. Actually, just kidding. I have us. Code NFL50 gives you $50 off any annual packages plus early bird bonuses. You get projections, ownership, showdown information, the stone. We were just looking at the stone. You get that for the NFL, PGA, NASCAR, MMA, college football. It's dope. You get stack rankings, core reports, slate plans. You get education courses from Hoop and Tambo. You get a wonderful Discord community. I cannot hype up our community enough. I absolutely adore our Discord community, especially the NASCAR channel. That's maybe being a little homer on my part, but I love our little NASCAR Discord group. Look, SHIPIT Nation, our football package, $2.99. You get the Shiptimizer included, plus you get early bird bonuses, right? Look at what the competition offers. $425, $500, $629. There's one that's technically cheaper at $269 with no optimizer. Please. Boom. Us, SHIPIT Nation, $2.99. You get the football package, which includes the Shiptimizer, early bird bonuses, which includes free all access until the NFL season begins. You want to jump in all access and you want to gamble on Daytona this weekend? Jump on in. You only want to pay for football, but you want to play Daytona too this weekend? Jump on into this package. You get all access. You get everything until the NFL season begins. Plus, you get free college football content, even if you cannot play college football DFS in your state. You can still use this information to help you with your gambling decisions. I cannot play college football DFS in the wonderful Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. However, I sure can gamble on college football in the wonderful Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. So I will absolutely be relying on the tools provided to help me make informed and educated gambling decisions. All right, now I think that's everything that I have. As always, folks, thank you once again for hanging out with me. As always, any questions on the slate, please feel free to tag me in Discord. And as always, let's ship it.